Hello, everyone. My name is Ayman Chaudhary, and I'm the head of Secretariat for the UN Global Compact Network Canada. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar session. First, I would like to present our land acknowledgement based on our Toronto office location. UN Global Compact Network Canada acknowledges the land we are virtually meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wanda peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. UN Global Compact Network Canada's work to support Indigenous communities is guided by the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. UN Global Compact Network Canada advocates for business reconciliation as a pillar of our work to help companies uphold and advance corporate human rights. This is a very special week. From June 5 to 11, we are celebrating the Canada Environment Week. June 5 was the United Nations World Environment Day, and June 8, which is today, is Canada's Clean Air Day and United Nations World Oceans Day. It is very important that we recognize these days, as we all should remember how important good air quality is to our health, our environment, and the economy. This year, we focus on air quality in a changing climate. As the climate warms, air pollution is expected to worsen through increased number and severity of extreme weather events such as wildfires and floods. Some air pollutants, such as car emissions, also contribute significantly to climate change. But there is good news. The very latest air pollutant emissions report shows an overall steady decline in air pollutant emissions since 1990. So let's keep up this good progress. Also, I wanted to take this opportunity to share some announcement to mark the United Nations World Oceans Day. As you all know, the ocean plays a vital role in delivering on all 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. Indeed, the world depends on healthy, productive, and resilient oceans for food security, climate mitigation, and economic livelihoods. However, unfortunately, climate change, overfishing, pollution, and unsustainable and inequitable developments have pushed our oceans to the brink of collapse. To get a better understanding about where we are and what we should do to protect the ocean, I invite you all to the upcoming UN Ocean Conference, scheduled for June 27th until July 1st in Lisbon. As Peter Thompson, the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for the Ocean, notes that Lisbon is going to be about finding solutions to the most pressing challenges faced by our oceans. And this conference will serve as a stepping stone to the upcoming COP27 in November, and is a key moment to raise ambition on the ocean climate nexus, both for state and non-state actors. This is also why the UN Global Compact and the high-level climate champions will be convening several high-level events during the conference to raise awareness for the inseparable link between our global climate and ocean. I'm also very happy to share with you that over the last months, the UN Global Compact has been rallying signatories for our sustainable ocean principles. These principles provide a framework for responsible business conduct on the ocean. To showcase private sector's commitment to SDG 14, the UN Global Compact will announce all signatories during the conference. So if you are a UN Global Compact participant and you haven't signed up to the ocean principles yet, today is probably the best time to do so, as today is the UN World Oceans Day. So if you have any questions about this opportunity, or if you want to have further discussion about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, so today is also a very special day for another special reason. Today we are launching the Leveraging a Circular Economy to Fast-Track the SDGs guide. As you all know, the SDGs provide a comprehensive approach to creating a sustainable world. The SDGs offer a viable framework to transform the businesses to be a force for good and ensure long-term growth and success. At the same time, the circular economy model has gained increasing prominence as a tool which presents solutions to some of the world's most pressing and cross-cutting sustainable development challenges through the use of innovative design thinking, life cycle assessments, and regeneration of natural systems. This idea helps address the root causes of our most pressing sustainability challenges and provides much promise to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Though many overlaps exist between the SDGs and the circular economy framework, when considering solutions for sustainability challenges, the synergy between and the potential of these two frameworks is not always very clear. As such, the common practice among companies today, what we observe, is siloed reporting on corporate SDGs and circular economy initiatives. UN Global Compact Network Canada recognizes the importance and potentiality of these two frameworks and has invited companies who are utilizing the circular economy model and are committed to the SDGs to collaborate in a function of a working group. And we are very thankful to our working group members representing Cascades, Bell, TELUS, Edge Sourcing, IKEA Canada, Intertape Polymer Group, BSF Canada, Hydro-Quebec, and Circular Economy Leadership Canada. Together, we co-created this guide that highlights a mapping exercise that will help you understand how the circular economy principles complement the SDGs and its targets. The guide also includes the opportunities and challenges for circular economy model as it relates to the SDGs. You will also find inspiring solutions and practices to advance circular economy and the SDGs. The guide is currently available on our website, www.globalcompact.ca, for free download. We intentionally kept the guide short and packed it only with the information that you need to align your works and around circular economy and the SDGs. Now for the panel session. I'm delighted to have with us Monica Podeczki, the Senior Specialist, Environmental, Social and Governance at Bell, and Jane Zhang, the co-founder and co-CEO at Edge Sourcing, to discuss more about the guide and to hear their thoughts about circular economy and the SDGs. Welcome, Jane and Monica.
Welcome, Jane. Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you both here. So let's start with a brief introduction for our audience today. Be great if you can tell us a little bit about your organization and your role in the organization. So let's start with you, Monica.
Yes, with pleasure. Thank you all for the opportunity. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be part of this. Well, I'm sure Bell Canada, all of you being, in Canada have already heard of who we are. But for those who might not realize, we're really Canada's largest communications company with a 142-year history. And we offer both residential, business, and wholesale customers with a wide range of solutions of communication needs, such as wireless, wireline, and media offerings. And our purpose is really to connect and advance how Canadians connect with each other. And it's really rooted in our commitment to lead in the corporate responsibility world. And as Ayman mentioned, I'm the senior ESG specialist in the corporate responsibility department at Bell. And my colleagues were part of the initiative and to build the guide with our peers. And it's really an exciting journey to see it come to light and to guide others out there, such as you, to push further on these important topics.
Thank you so much, Monica. Jen, let's hear from you.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much, Ayman, for having us here. It has been such a pleasure working with all the members of the Circular Economy Working Group to pull this guide together. Edge Sourcing, we are a managed services provider specializing in procurement, category management, and sourcing, with a very, very special focus on sustainability and sustainable procurement. That is really what we're very passionate about. We're very, very, very strongly passionate about driving the change that's necessary in our industry, both within public and our private sector organizations, to really help organizations leverage how they buy, how they operate in a more sustainable way for the greater good of the world.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jen. Let's start with the very obvious question first, and let's hear from your experience in the organization. Why do you think is investing in adopting a circular economy model is important for businesses? Monica, as you're representing one organization, let's hear for why you think this is so important for Bell to work on circular economy.
It's a obvious but also important question, because I think it touches the fundamental of why we're brought here together today. And at Bell, with almost 50,000 employees that on their day-to-day activities, they could create impacts on the environment. Even the basic questions become critical to make sure that we have oversight on those. So I think the success to creating value really relies on the efficient use of our obvious environmental resources. And the circular economy model, it really enables organizations to rethink the traditional linear model of taking, making, and wasting. And instead, it encourages them to implement solutions that really detach growth from accelerating raw material consumption. So this shift in perspective, it really gives an effort and pushes the effort to reduce our environmental impact within day-to-day operations. So it contributes to our core business. For us on a day-to-day, it's really a triple win: a win for the environment, for the business, because we can save on costs and generate revenue, and obviously employee engagement, as we want all those stakeholders to have a role to play in that.
Excellent. Jane, your operation is a little different. You work with so many organizations who are probably trying to find a solution around circular economy, and also trying to improve their processes around sustainable procurement. So what is the thing that you more observe more frequently, why companies are showing more increased interest around investing and adopting a circular economy model?
Absolutely. So we work with all sorts of different industries. We work within aviation, we work within telecommunications, we work within healthcare, oil and gas, across all sorts of different organizations. And one of the common things that we're seeing the most is that challenge for innovation. And I think circular economy is really that spark that's going to light that for a lot of businesses, a lot of operations. We know that we are not operating in the same world that we were operating in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And that's something that businesses really are waking up, and organizations are really waking up and recognizing that going forward into the future, we need to transform, we need to adapt, and we need to innovate. And in order to innovate, we need to rethink how we approach problems. If we keep trying to solve the same problems over and over again, we're going to end up with very similar results. Circular economy is one way where we're now challenging organizations to rewrite the problem. What does that really mean? To take something that we've currently always described one way and really rethink how we're even defining the problem. And at that stage, we're then able to open up so many more opportunities for innovation, for creative solutions, and to really reuse, exactly as Monica said, to create the change from that typical linear fashion of problem solving to more of that circular problem-solving approach that's going to give us much more adaptive and innovative solutions in the marketplace, and gives all sorts of organizations a competitive advantage.
Yeah, maybe I'll echo on that also, Jane, to add that it's really shifting to a way to reposition waste, like moving from this linear to circular economy. It positions waste as a resource for both environmental and economic benefits, rather than just something that fuels our operations. It's part of what we should manage, valorize, find different uses, and think of all of its impact, and not only the end of its impact, which are usually the more traditional ways of seeing waste. So yeah, I think that's when it sparks the value that waste management creates, not just seeing it as waste, but we also shifted our language around not just waste, but really that circular economy, from the input, the design, how is it used, reuse, before we even consider it as waste, as almost the final option of it. So definitely there's a lot of value to extract on those angles.
100%.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing those great insights. Yeah, I think the other thing that I also wanted to emphasize on this discussion is that, as you know, that the guide that we are launching today is intended to help businesses to align their work around the circular economy to fast track the contribution towards the SDGs. And we are not running at the pace to actually achieve the SDGs by 2030. So there are all these other great resources of the frameworks, the tools that we have. We need to start utilizing those at its best capacity to see how we can contribute or make that stronger contribution towards achieving the SDGs. So as a working group member organization, what is your opinion about the importance of this work? And what would be your message for other businesses to have this kind of looking into the circular economy and possible alignment towards SDGs?
Well, maybe I'll start here.
Okay, Jane, you can start.
Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
I think one of the biggest things that we noticed being part of this working group was the vast diversity of the organizations that we have participating. We had such fabulous, amazing examples from Nutrien, from Bell, from IKEA, very, very different industries. And I think that's something that we really think is the core underlying message. Circular economy is highly possible no matter what kind of organization you're operating, no matter what kind of operations you're running, there is opportunity, and it's really about looking for the opportunity that best fits your organization in terms of adapting it, in terms of seeing the results, and in terms of creating those measurable, tangible elements that you can see as a function of that initiative. And I think what I love so much about this guide is these amazing examples that our members were able to provide to really showcase the art of the possible, because there is so much untapped potential, so much unlocked possibilities out there that for any organization reading this guide, going through this guide, I really hope that if anything, it inspires them to look within their own organization for what is that opportunity going to look like for them.
Excellent. Monica?
Yeah, definitely a great point there, Jane. I can definitely echo on those benefits as well. And I'll make a connection because just last week during the United Nations Global Compact Leaders Summit, I was happy to see those multiple acknowledgements from different actors on how the SDGs are truly a guide that enable evolution within organizations. It helps those stakeholders tackle the issues at the core of their impact, and it guides them not only to explain but how to communicate to these different actors that have a relationship to these issues, on how to approach the issue, what to focus it on, almost as a focal point to transition internal change towards this sustainable future. So really, for us, I think there's other benefits, such as like it provides a global consistency and confidence in this common vision. So it really helps articulate those goals that really align to all these actors. And through that common vision, it really complements other disclosure standards out there. So for us, just adopting the SDG in our reporting, but even in our internal strategy, has been eye-opening, because it enables that clear connectivity, and that's easily relatable to peers that such as that were part of the working group that worked on the guide. It really showcased that same language for everyone to work towards that common goal, because we share that circular economy. And I think just the fact that there's the word economy in the circularity of it, right, it shows that we're all part of that. So we're all players, regardless of the industry, of the group that we represent. I think that commonality really brings us together. So for us, it played really an important role, and it continues to do so even beyond circular economy, just the SDGs as a whole. It provides us as a guide, an endeavor to redesign our models, to have a holistic view, and again, really see that raw consumption and decouple it from what it really, the original meaning of it, to really focus on the innate issues and different ways to valorize its impact. So since then, we've been repairing, reusing, repurposing, remanufacturing, redesigning just our inputs, our materials, which was something you wouldn't have thought as innate responsibility, but it becomes innate through that perception of what the SDGs allows us to see. And it was refreshing from my colleagues. They shared with me that it was refreshing to see that common goal and alignment with the peers that participated throughout Canada. So it shows that we're all working towards the same thing, and it benefits everyone through the process.
I love that. I love that as a common language. You have the SDGs kind of as a global common language to speak as a measure of impact.
Exactly. And just to share a little bit more about like how we came to this methodology of the work that we have done here. So we kind of first looked into the circular economy principles, and we tried to see like the principles that the working group as a group, like we kind of agreed on, okay, this is how we are defining circular economy. And then we have the 17 SDGs. It was very easy to first make the connection between the circular economy principles and SDGs. But then we thought of, okay, let's go a step forward, because when we think about companies reporting back on the SDGs, the targets are very important. So there are 17 goals and almost 169 targets. So we wanted to make that step forward and see, okay, let's not limit our work to just aligning it to the goals, but also try to help the readers to also see the connection with the individual targets that are associated with the goals. So that's how we actually conducted our mapping exercise. And just a note for all the readers who will be probably looking at those resources is that this is something that where we see the maximum potential of the alignment, but it doesn't have to limit to the linkage that we have established. Circular economy is such a vast framework, such a global and flexible framework. There are so many other SDGs that probably we haven't highlighted in the guide as a direct opportunity to have that alignment, but you can certainly find different alignment opportunities there. And we just wanted to kind of support your thought process, like how you can start seeing that alignment opportunity so that you can actually integrate your work together. In your sustainability report, you don't have to report back on your circular economy initiative separately, on your SDGs initiative separately, which we are seeing as a more common practices. What we really try to do is that when you're reporting back on these sustainability initiatives, how you can actually align your work together so that the work that you're actually doing helps you to create a better story. Like with this, all the work that you are taking to improve circular economy or to adapt circular economy practices in your organization, how it is also helping your organization to contribute towards the sustainable development goals that your organization probably have prioritized. So that's something that we really wanted to focus a lot in the working group activity that we have done. And also we have created like a very small business case there to kind of help you understand like why your organization probably should be focusing on the circular economy activities. So there is a short business case for circular economy, adapting circular economy and also aligning it with the SDGs. And the main piece of work, as Jane has mentioned, that we actually were very successful to, once we had that mapping exercise established, we were very happy to see for all of those established indicators, like let's say for principle 1, we have SDG 7 and this particular indicator that we see there's a strong connection. We were very happy to see like we could collect examples from the working group participants about how the different activities or the initiatives that they have in the organization could very easily fit to that alignment. So we were initially thinking that maybe we won't be able to find enough examples, but to our pleasure, like that was never the case. So you will find like whenever we are mentioning any alignment there, you will also find one applicable examples that you can also refer to understand how the process could work. And the other thing that we really that was the last part of the guide that came as a suggestion from Edge Sourcing. And Jane, thank you so much for making that wonderful recommendation. So we also provided a section there to help you guide like what is the step-by-step process to actually doing the work that we are suggesting you to kind of look into or to kind of consider like what you can do in your organization. And when we first created that section, it was a bit wordy. It was a lot of different activities that we were mentioning there. So Jane thought that, let's do like a tear out page. Let's make it very easy for everyone to understand. Okay, what are the steps? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and this is how you can achieve it. So Jane, maybe you can share a little bit more about like the idea behind the tear out page and how that could be helpful for the businesses that are probably looking at our guide.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that we're very passionate about at Edge Sourcing in terms of making something so easy to adapt that it becomes second nature for people to do it. And I think there's a lot of conversation right now around the whys of why you should adopt circular economy, the benefits. We know that that exists out there, but then there's always that constant barrier, especially if your organization hasn't done an activity like this before, if you haven't pursued an activity like this before, in terms of like, how do we get started? Okay, it's amazing that Bell has done this amazing circular economy project. We want to do something similar, but we operate in a different industry. How do we get started? And honestly, it's very easy. It starts with conversation. It really starts with those dialogues of ideas that really start then snowballing. And what you'll find as soon as you start adapting these types of initiatives, as soon as you start adapting these types of ideas, and Monica, I'm sure you can probably give me many examples as well, is you start with one and it just snowballs, because at the end of the day, these are ideas and initiatives that people love to do, that people want to see. And if you're able to showcase kind of, here's my example, here's what we were able to do, here's the measure that we were able to get very clearly out of this, then you will find that within your organization, it will start popping up out of areas that you did not even think about to start to look for. And that was the idea behind this tear out guide. We wanted to make something super easy. You can print it off, you can rip it out of the guide and then just pin it up to your board. And once in a while on a Monday morning, you can look at it when you're sipping your coffee and say, wow, maybe I should have a conversation with somebody. And that's really where that conversation starts and where those ideas start sparking and rolling.
Yeah, I agree. I will add that what I find like super valuable with this guide is that you have this unique opportunity to get those real examples of the industry, of the Canadian context, of these companies that met over different weeks' time, different months, found these ideas. And usually when you think of, oh, what are we doing for circular economy? You think of what did we achieve, what we're trying to do, but often it's difficult to realize, oh, we have a gap or we could do this. Like finding new ideas is usually harder than saying, oh, we did this and that's what we're doing. So what I find super valuable is within the guide, you have diverse examples of others doing these initiatives. So it's truly inspiring to spark a new idea for you, or to say, oh, wow, these guys are doing that. It's working well for them. And okay, that means it's working for us. Or maybe this gives us an idea of another angle, or opens up really the mind and opens the box in the discussion for other options that are viable within similar or different industries. So I feel this is a unique opportunity where these businesses shared on these ideas. And like you said, Jane, it was just a matter, I think, one idea to come up to then link up all the other ones. And the other thing I'll say is the fact that the SDGs, what's struck me is that how there's a lot of interconnectivity between the different SDGs just on this circular economy topic. On the surface, my first gut feeling was, okay, circular economy, SDG, yeah, SDG 12, resource consumption. Exactly. And then when you dig deeper, oh no, there's a link with SDG 7, with energy, with education, with economy, with climate change. There was so many links that if you just look at a surface level, you could just touch the tip of the iceberg. But if you dig deeper, you see these interconnections between the multiple SDGs. And that's when you see the holistic view of your impact. And I feel this is so empowering because you see that just this one focal point of circular economy comes really full circle, and pun on words, it really shows that it touches multiple angles and benefits, which I find is rewarding, inspiring, and just gives that sort of that benchmark, easy to read, easy example. Like you said, Jane, you just take a look on Monday morning, you see a different angle of it, and it inspires, and it's all in a collaborative space. So really I encourage all of you to use this as your guide and refer to it regularly and update it, add your own angle. So for us, it's almost, I think we'll be using it regularly, and it's not just like a one-time dictionary that we did, but really an evolution that can build upon it.
Absolutely. And probably that's another area where I need to reemphasize that the purpose of this guide is to help you align the circular economy work with the SDGs. Like, this guide is not intended to help you improve your understanding around circular economy, around SDGs, but it is more to help you or to support your organization if you have already prioritized some SDGs, or if you're already looking into the SDGs and now you're also focusing, or maybe you have already taken some initiatives around the circular economy. What is the opportunities or options for your organization to align all the amazing works that you are doing within your organization? Excellent, great. I have another question for both of you now that I have you here. So we have heard from you about the benefits and about the potential uses of the guide that we have created. But we know that there are so many other factors that we still need, particularly in Canada, for us to actually have a more enabling environment for circular economy. So from your personal experience to work with this framework and also to look into the SDGs, like what would you suggest that what support is urgently required, or in other words, what areas need more urgent attention to actually make these frameworks work in a better way in Canada? Who's going to go first? Do you have a volunteer?
I can go. Okay. Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And it's important because even though we achieved this milestone, adapting and implementing it day to day, this is like another reality that kicks in. I would say we're lucky in Canada. We're mostly used to it, like even in your households or at the workplace, just things like end of life management of waste becomes almost like a reflex. There's an option to recycle, to compost and do these things. So this is more innate in the Canadian culture. Unfortunately, some countries don't even have these services yet in their municipalities, but we're lucky here in Canada to have built that culture. What I would say that's more like a novel or a new shift in gears is really that view of like the circularity of waste, that before we consider it waste, where is it coming from? How do we use it? How we try to extend its life, its reuse, like upcycling it and find different angles of these inputs, and starting to think of the end of waste as what we want to avoid. Thus, when we introduce it in our process, how do we already design it in a way, think of it in a way that will be maximizing its usefulness and its value through our processes. So I feel this is more like a novel or a new way just in our culture to see things. So I would say that is the challenge, and really to favorize that circularity, that view of it, is to really emphasize more on collaboration, such as the work for the SDG guide, more structure and association to rethink and really connect these groups that might originally or by default been working in silos, to now break those walls apart, work together to really think of the full process and not just the one step in the middle that we're often used to look at. So it's really widening the horizon and seeing both the internal and external teams bringing that value, and both in the private sector, but through government programs, how we can springboard that progress by seeing waste, not as waste, but as the circular economy of managing those inputs and those resources. So really change management, I would say, is an inevitable challenge, but to make it successful is really implementing that, trying to embed it into the habits, like changing people's habits, changing people's views. And to do that, finding ways on how to address these resistances, like either making it a priority. For us, we made corporate targets around circular economy. We changed the language, we changed that view, we connected to like a global purpose, like the SDGs. And these are all like little ways to shift that healthy habit to take place and really bring that change that's required, and not just manage the end of life of things. So really for us, the circular economy model was really like a framework to reposition waste. Once again, I can't emphasize it enough. It's really a shift to see it, to explain it, and to understand it. And by harmonizing that view, it really brings those opportunities. But more discussion, more alignment, more collaboration to break those silos and see it as a one process that connects all these teams is really, I think, the key to springboard and push further the progress and the success of like circular economy for all players.
Absolutely. And, I think you touched on something that I think is super critical in terms of the next step, which is really implementation. And that's something that for us, I think is the biggest next step as far as how we move as a country, how we move as globally in this movement. It's now that you know why, now that you know how are you going to then implement it? It's taking the next step of action. And it's within the organizations themselves. It's working with people within the organization to have those silo breaking conversations and to drive those initiatives to identify, scope that out, and then actually implement it and then measure and report on it, because that's your full kind of end-to-end adoption of those projects, of those initiatives. And the reality of it right now is most organizations always face, like, have the best of intentions up until it comes to allocating resources. And then they go, well, you know, we don't really have that many people. We're fighting fires on this side. We're fighting fires on the other side. So I would encourage organizations to look at their resources, look at how they can leverage their existing resources, look at how you're scoping out your initiatives, how you're scoping out your resource planning for the year. And think really about, if you reshape the problem, is there an opportunity to bring in resources that could specifically focus on implementing these initiatives within your organization? Because it's fantastic to know how, it's fantastic to know why, but then we really have to do. And that is something that I think we really need as a next step.
Wow, that's amazing. Some really great insights, and maybe some food for thought for, okay, what can we do next to help the businesses to actually adopt this in more like easier way, and help them to actually implement all these great resources and the practices that we're recommending them to look into. Monica, as I have you here, one of the other key questions that we always keep kind of hearing from the organizations that are trying to prioritize circular economy or trying to look into the opportunities, how they can get involved into this, adopt the circular economy framework. When Bell first started looking into the circular economy framework and see how that applies to the organization, what was the first or the biggest challenge that you had to kind of navigate through to make the circular economy framework really work for Bell in the organization? Maybe that could be some really useful information for some of our audience today.
Yeah, no, and that's almost like $1 million question, right? If we sometimes we realize what's the issue, but then it's how to approach it, how to fix it, and then embed it as like as a reflex and as a natural habit for everyone. So obviously managing waste for us, it's not new. It's been over 30 years. We have programs to really manage the end of life waste, and through those 30 years, those multiple decades, we're able to, find partnerships, find suppliers, put in processes, putting language, communication, and instill it in like people's visible ways to implement it. And where now today, as we're shifting more our language towards circular economy, just in the last year or two, towards the public, we've shifted just the way that we talk about waste to shift it around the circular economy. So just changing the way we identify towards the issue. This was one progress that we took on to really do the first shift of the framework. And then it's really doing that collaboration. So how to do it? The best way is to break the silos. So like Jane said at the beginning, just seeing the business as usual isn't sufficient. It's like rethink the problem, rethink the new way you can approach this issue. So for us internally, my peers and some are here today have really found a way to really connect the different groups internally. And at Bell, you can imagine it's a spider web of teams with almost 50,000 employees. We have multiple teams, business units. So now how you get the new language, the new challenge, the new habit to instill into each of these organizations. And I think the key or the challenge is to make everyone realize that each department, each team has a way or an impact or role to play within just waste or how we manage circular economy. So even teams that they never thought of waste, but the teams that think of, we purchase new material, or how do we design this product, or, how we gonna plan this project. It's even from the beginning, the first question when we build a new innovation internally, even there you have an impact at the end of life, even if this product, this issue will be disposed in 30 years, it's still like something to look at. So us approaching those teams, we work on collaborative groups to ensure these teams think about it, realize that they have an impact. So really keeping the conversation open. This is like our way to really have the foot in the door with all of these connecting groups so that they can each appropriate themselves that value creation within their own processes. So it's not just one team, our team telling people, oh, you should do this and that, like that they realize the value and using the SDGs and that the creation of the value that it brings business growth is important for these internal teams to tackle those challenges. And even ourselves, like one of our biggest challenges is managing our fiber waste. So obviously, Bell, in the last few years, we're deploying fiber networks, or deploying our network further within the Canadian population, further within the geography of Canada. And, so far so good. But what are we going to do when the fiber, maybe there's going to be a next technology in 30 years, and now we have to remove the fiber to put something new? Today, there's no optimal way to recycle fiber or to upcycle it. And this is an active challenge that we're exploring. So internally, our teammates are looking for ways to think ahead of time, how to plan for this potential management of the fiber waste, and trying to look for ways to evolve or to deploy them in a way that they could be within the network as long as possible, so that they don't need to be removed and then sent to landfill. So these are active challenges. As we're deploying our business, we realize there's potential future impact that could tarnish our performance. So really actively looking at that, even if it's a scenario that might not be as present today, it's still methodologies we have to keep in mind. So the key, it's not like we have the answers every day, or that they're easy challenges to tackle, but keeping the conversation open, keeping exploring, being aware of what risk can it cause in terms of cost or future regulatory risk of like not managing your waste properly, or eventually shortages of certain issues you bring into your supply chain. Like all these risks we're seeing, they're emerging more and more and impact business performance, business impacts throughout. So being proactive to foresee these challenges is the one key, and then breaking the silos to make people aware and starting to think and design forward. So that's the way we found to be most successful to tackle those challenges.
Wow, what a great response, Monica. Thank you so much for sharing that very useful information for everyone who's probably trying to also navigate through that different challenges around circular economy. And that's another thing that very interesting about circular economy is that the framework and the model is there, but every industry that is trying to adopt circular economy, they have their own challenges. For example, the challenge that you have mentioned about fiber waste, maybe that's not applicable to other industries there. Maybe they have their own set of challenges, but the framework allows to kind of look into those independent challenges and see what are the different solutions that we can actually work around those particular industry specific challenges. And that's where I think we have the opportunity to kind of deep dive on these issues and have this more industry collaboration to adopt circular economy more as an industry rather than more as a general framework. I think the industry approach is very, very much needed to make sure that circular economy is really being kind of adapted in the economy in the most efficient manner. Jen, do you have any adding thoughts to Monica's response?
No, I think it's awesome. And I love the telecommunications industry as a general point. That's where I grew up in my early days, and there's so much opportunity there, as with every other industry. And when you look at these opportunities, it's exactly that. It's reframing the question. Instead of asking, how can we recycle better? The question then becomes, what should we be recycling? Should we be recycling at all? Is there an opportunity to change what we actually send to recycling? And that's something that I think we really, as we continue to move forward in the industry, in the economy as a whole, we have to evolve very quickly, because when we start to reshape these questions, it opens the door to so much more innovation, so much more possibility. And that just gives you a lot more opportunity to really take waste, exactly as Monica says, and make it a resource that becomes an input to your business.
Excellent. Great. Awesome. Some really good responses from our panelists today. I'm very thankful for this sharing this great insights to the audience today. Well, the day today is also very special for another reason as well. Like it's two very special initiatives that I've mentioned, and we are launching this guide. But I'm also very happy to announce a collaboration between the UN Global Compact Network Canada, like our network, and Edge Sourcing to highlight leading businesses like yours in the audience today to share notable practices in sustainable procurement and circular economy. So I'm going to actually ask Jane now to spend some time to discussing and announcing our new collaboration, but just wanted to give a little bit of background about how did we come to this. So Edge Sourcing's team of procurement and sustainability experts researched countless hours to develop an open source database to assist organizations on their sustainability journey in alignment with the UN Sustainable Development Goals and spend categories. So no matter what level of maturity your organization is currently at, the database can provide you with straightforward guide to implement the ideas at all readiness levels. So you will hear more from our network about how you can actually contribute or share your notable practices to be included in that guide. But I actually want to take this opportunity now to ask Jane, who is actually the mastermind behind this whole collaboration work. So what are her thoughts about this opportunity?
Absolutely. And this is a fantastic, fantastic partnership. And we're super excited to announce this opportunity, particularly as the United Nations Global Compact Canada has such amazing membership networks and such amazing examples within the membership organizations. The intention behind our sustainability database was to provide very, very tangible hows to implementing ideas. And it's exactly as what we've touched on today with the guide. It's getting inspired by ideas that your peer groups or somebody else is out there doing, and then getting not just the inspiration, but also an implementation plan, essentially. So somebody out there has done something like transform their energy consumption within data centers to use more energy efficient sources and energy efficient products. Now, not only are you getting that idea, you're actually getting that full end-to-end process from how have they defined that business opportunity? How have they started to implement that? What did they do as part of the implementation? And then what did that really come out in terms of true measurable, tangible impacts? Because that's something that we hear all the time from our clients in terms of, look, I have all these amazing ideas. I've done all these amazing projects. How do I report back? How do I say what I've actually achieved? How do I share back what we've actually achieved? And that was something that was very important to us, that we mapped everything to that universal language of the UN SDGs. How has this project able to connect with the UN SDGs in terms of tangible impact? And what we wanted to do with this initiative was really to open it up to all of the UNGC Canada network and membership network to say, share your ideas with each other, because this is a database that we are providing completely free. It's not behind any sort of paywall. And the intention behind this is really to propel the industry forward, to really create those instruction guides that somebody else is able to take and say, okay, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to go and implement it. And it helps that whole adoption process, that change management process, for you to go back to your senior leadership and say, look, I have an amazing idea to change how we manage our packaging today. And here's how long it's going to take. Here's the level of impact. Here's what the activities need to be. And here's who needs to be involved. And here's how we're going to measure impact. And it kind of creates that kind of jumping board to help you get into that space. So we've set up the guide. We set up the database so that you can search by both SDG impact in terms of what kind of SDG impact you want to have, but also search by your spend categories, because we're fundamentally procurement and category management professionals. We love spend. So when you're coming back in and you're saying, look, right now I have an opportunity to look at my fleet spend. What does that look like? What are the opportunities within fleet? And again, it's helping to reshape and rewrite those initial questions of, rather than looking at how can I bid my fleet out more efficiently, maybe you should be looking at, do I have the right mixture of fleet vehicles? Do I have the right capabilities within my fleet? So those types of examples are the examples that we're really looking for. And I think your group will be sending out some more details and some more messages around that. We really, really do strongly encourage anybody who's gone through an initiative with their organization to please sign up. It's a very simple process. We'll call you, we'll have a quick conversation with you, and we'll scope that out. We'll do all the heavy lifting in terms of writing out the documentation and everything else, but we really want to collect these amazing ideas that we know Canada is doing and share that across Canada, because we think there's so much opportunity here.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jane, for giving us that opportunity to offer these great solutions to our member networks, and also for anyone in the audience today who haven't joined our network yet. Please do subscribe to our newsletters. We share these opportunities through our monthly newsletters, and also you can follow our social media channels, and you'll always hear these great opportunities where you can connect and engage with us. So, as an organization, we are here. Like our role here is to inspire more businesses to adopt sustainable practices and contribute to the sustainable development goals. So that's what we, as you have probably heard today from Bell and Ed Sourcing, like this is how we collaborate with the businesses and all the other working group members. Like the guide that we have created together, this is the kind of work that we always see that where we can add the value to all the great things happening in Canada around sustainability. And I sincerely encourage you to, if you haven't joined the UN Global Compact Network yet, please do visit our website, like www.globalcompact.ca, and you will find a lot of information there about like what our initiative is and how we can help businesses to improve their sustainability performance. And even if that information is not sufficient, you want to have a quick one-on-one call, we are always here to answer to any queries. And just our intention is to help you improve your overall sustainability journey. With that, thank you so much again to our wonderful panelists for your time today and for sharing those amazing and wonderful insights and helping us co-create this guide. On behalf of the three of us, I again want to thank all the other working group members who helped us to prepare this guide. And I also want to sincerely thank my great team members. Everyone we have a very small team here, but just to name a few, Daria, Steve, Melvina, Stefan, they all worked really hard to make this guide, like to actually the guide that you're downloading to have that the version ready. So a big thanks to my team for providing that excellent support. And hopefully this is something that will be really useful for you. And we'd love to hear your feedback. And please share with us what other work that we can do to help Canada improve its work around circular economy and SDGs. And we are always open for ideas and looking forward for more collaboration work. Thank you so much again for your time. Please stay tuned and do follow us on social media, and we're hoping to see you again in our next session. Take care.